Happy weekend, my loves. Welcome to your weekend astrology horoscope for Saturday the 5th of October and Sunday the 6th of October 2024. I'm intuitive evolutionary astrologer and psychic tarot reader, Crystal, the crystalline priestess. Now, let's get into the energy of this weekend. Alrighty, my love, so we are still coming down from that new moon eclipse energy. We're still feeling the intensity of how strong those shifts and changes were that we've been making. We now have the moon on Saturday in Scorpio. So we've had the moon make that really powerful, one of the final squares with Pluto that it is going to make. Actually, it is the final retrograde square that the moon is going to make with Pluto from Libra. So we are definitely closing out a huge chapter of life. And that's what this feels like, a huge life cycle thing. Like this metaphor about caterpillar turning into the butterfly and the whole life cycle of that has probably never been more relevant before now, my loves. So this weekend we do have the moon traversing through Scorpio, moving into Sagittarius. So we are having, we're having a beautiful conjunction that is building with the moon and Venus in Scorpio. We're having a lovely trine that's building over to Mars, and we're having a beautiful trine over there to Saturn as well. So we can't deny that there is some good energy that we are moving into. But at the same time, we do have Mercury beginning to make that square over with Mars. It is going to be brief. It's going to be quick because Mercury is moving so quickly. Mars is moving so slowly. But I'm sure you guys can see who's right behind Mercury. It's the sun. So we're facing some really stark realities at this point, and our minds are sort of reaching that realization before we're sort of, I think, physically catching up with what we're trying to overcome, I think, at the moment. And the reason I say overcome is because I feel like this square between Mercury and Mars feels like this, squares are always a point of friction, right? So squares are always going to present us with something that needs to change. So it's causing it's kind of like, I'm seeing it as like chemistry, you know? It's like putting two different sort of energies together and seeing what happens with that concoction, you know? Some things don't really go together as well, and that's kind of a square. And so when something isn't sort of reacting with another element as well as it could or should be, that's when we sort of start to feel like we have this need to overcome something. And I feel like the biggest thing is this. And I want to speak on a global scale, and I want to speak on a personal scale. So on a global scale, I think there's this really big, stark realization of how intense things, I think, are building and how intense things are getting. Diplomacy, there's massive dystopian, I think, ideals that we're really grappling with at this point in time. And I think we're really having to deal with different sides and opposing judgments and opposing views, and you know, the debate energy around this time. And not even speaking about like what's going on in America and stuff. Like, I'm an Aussie, I don't really understand politics in general, but I really don't understand American politics that well. So, you know, when I say debate, Libra is sort of that energy of the debater. And so it is that sort of alternating sides and looking at both sides of a coin and flip-flopping and sort of checking both sides out. And so I feel like we are grappling with this need to not get swept up and not get caught up in the bigness of what is happening all around us. Because I think in all people's lives and everybody that is watching this video, you know, you are seeing where division is really strong, and it's very, very big in everybody's reality. You know, we're really facing some intense times, and that's because we do have that Mars that's coming into a square with Pluto, opposition with Pluto, and at the same time we have that square with the sun that's building as well, and that's going to form somewhat of, not an exact, but it is going to form, like I've been saying, that cardinal T square and that cardinal grand cross, if you include Chiron and the North Node just as a general energy. We're really, really feeling that pressure cooking intensity. And I think that this weekend is maybe a little bit of calmness before we do start to really feel that pressure, as we start to feel the Sun and Mars start to sort of square off and start to sort of beef it out. And I think the best thing that we can do for ourselves at the moment feels like nurture. Oh my god, we have vampire coming out. So I suppose, yeah, we need to nurture the parts of ourselves that have been feeling drained. You know, what does a vampire do? But it sucks the energy, it sucks the life force. I feel like a lot of us have been dealing with issues that have literally been draining the life force out of us, and for a lot of us it is probably going to be financial. We do have the moon making that conjunction with Venus, who's in her detriment in Scorpio. The moon's in her detriment in Scorpio as well, so we have two sort of benefic energies that are in unhappy places. And so Scorpio being one of those financial signs, it's speaking to our resources and deep inner resources, and the resources and the collaborative connections and resources that we have with other people. So it does feel like there is this very deep real, and you know, vampire as well. Scorpio is very much vampire energy. You know, we're in October, we're building into Halloween, we're getting closer and closer to Scorpio season. So we are sort of grappling with the fact that the shadows are real. At the moment, the shadows have to be faced. We have the beggar and we have the vampire out here. Both of these are very, very intense. I would have to sort of say they're more on the negative side of things, archetypes. But we also have the magical child coming out to sort of counterbalance that energy. So with the light attributes of the magical child being seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things and the belief that everything is possible, we're really needing to understand that we need to have a more, and that's why I've talked about it a lot. That's why we have the Jupiter and Chiron connection, and we still have it over this weekend, and we still have it while we're having these really strong transits, because we're needing to see that even though there is this intense stuff happening on the world stage, and even in our own personal lives, we're realizing, you know, financially there is this effect that we're all sort of being undertaken with, and that's because globally there is a recession that's building. So we are experiencing the reality of that, and it's a stark reality. You know, so we are having to face the emotional resilience that it takes to move through something as intense as something like this. You know, it's not every generation that gets to experience such intense stuff. You know, there are generations in history, there are periods in history where things have been calmer. So we are dealing with a really potent, powerful time in history, and that we need to accept that as people that are alive and who chose to be incarnated on Earth at this time. You know, if you are here right now, you chose to be here. And especially if you're here tuning in with me and watching this reading, you really have something, a message, a gift to give the world. You know, you have this beautiful spiritual connection that wants to take you further. And I think that this energy, the antidote with this beautiful moon and Venus conjunction that we're going to have at the same time as they make a beautiful, beautiful trine over to Saturn, we're going to understand that it's through long-term spiritual sustainment, fulfillment, practice, value, we're going to see ultimate results, but that takes time. You know, anything worthwhile takes time. It takes resilience. So the shadow attributes of the magical child is pessimism, depression, and a disbelief in miracles, believing that energy and action are not required for growth. And that's with this moon conjunction with Venus that's going to be building. It's going to be happening more so Saturday night. So, you know, if you are going on a date, maybe this is, you know, we do have that Mars square Mercury, so there could be a little bit of friction and, I don't know, a little bit of uncomfortableness, but the sexy time could be really, really on point. But, you know, apart from that, we do have this beautiful opportunity to see things from a really long-term, I can do this, I can actually build this, I can see this manifesting physically if I put in the work sort of energy. Planting the seed and really nurturing and taking care of that seed. You know, we have the advocate at the bottom of the deck that says inspires you to put compassion into action. The shadow attribute is embracing negative causes or committing to causes for personal gain, and that is very much this Libra energy, then the Mars square Libra that we're going to have in the T square with Pluto. It's not about getting caught up in violent or negative causes at the moment. The violence thing is really something that we're going to be seeing building with these major Mars aspects that we're going to be experiencing, especially the Pluto opposition and the square with the Sun. We already have it coming in with Mercury, so we're already seeing on the world stage where things are intensifying. We've been seeing it build already. So we are having to see the truth in where is the seed that we're planting and nurturing, is it a positive or is it a negative seed? We have to be vigilant of what we're doing, you know, where your energy goes, your creation flows. No, what is it? Where your attention goes, energy flows. So you need to be mindful of where you are putting that attention. Where are you putting that focus? Because it's going to grow, and it may look like a small seed now, but it's going to grow into something bigger. And the eclipse that we've just recently had was to plant these new seeds. You know, that's what a new moon is, and a new moon solar eclipse is about planting a brand new seed. Make sure that you haven't been planting new seeds of lack and of, you know, something that's going to be draining your energy more so than giving life force to it. It's about this. I feel like this is the shadow and this is the light. You know, we have two options that we could really partake in over this eclipse portal that we're sort of in and that we've been in, and that is about taking the higher road. You know, I'm literally seeing Dorothy, and I'm seeing it like literally going from one world that's black and white and one world that's color. You know, are you going to be in black and white or are you going to be in color? I think it requires opening your mind, and it requires expanding your understanding, your emotional awareness, and your deep desires, and understanding how powerful they are with that moon connection with Venus, Scorpio, Saturn. It's about understanding that Pisces is about believing in the infinite. It's using your imagination to manifest. It's using your ability to create. Don't forget that we also have that connection over with Mars. It's not exact anymore, but the moon is going to make an exact trine, and that grand trine is going to feel really like this beautiful spiritual boost that can really push us in the right direction if we're willing to face these shadow aspects, which are the vampire, light attribute, makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. So that is saying something literally is draining your life force. And that's that moon coming into the conjunction with Venus in Scorpio. It's about seeing that something has been actually draining you. You know, we just had that square with the moon and Pluto. We're seeing that something has actually been eating away at us, and it could be this beggar. The light attributes is confronts empowerment at the level of physical survival, awakens the spiritual authority of humility, compassion, and self-esteem. A beggar has no self-esteem. Not always, you know, I'm not talking about spiritual beggars and the spiritual monk thing that can't speak, that they do. I'm talking about, you know, this beggar does not look proud. They don't want to even show their face. They're hiding their face. They're ashamed. This is about shame. And I feel like that's maybe something that's really coming up. And that's this moon conjunction with Scorpio on Saturday. And we're still going to have the moon. It's actually, to be honest, it's going to be stronger on Sunday. I didn't even realize that. I was kind of jumping ahead of myself. I'm not going to lie. The moon conjunction with Venus does actually hit exactly on Sunday morning, really early. So maybe late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. So my night owls are going to be feeling really nice, I think, late at night. I feel like maybe even that's getting really creative. I feel like my creative people are going to be up late this weekend, making some shit, doing some stuff. But, you know, it's understanding that we have to sort of face the darkness in order to reach that light. You know, let's look at the shadow attributes. The shadow attributes of the vampire is depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining, and codependency. So we are having to face the part of ourselves that maybe are feeling really disempowered. The shadow attributes of the beggar is a dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. So that's sort of talking about over complaining and not putting in enough effort. So that's where this Venus moon conjunction that we're having over this weekend is going to be showing us where we might need to put in a little bit more effort, and that Mars square over to Mercury becomes really, really strong on Sunday. So that hits exact, and we have the moon that's starting, the sun that's starting to build into that as well. So we can't forget where we really are having to make some serious changes, and some, you know, cardinal energy is about making a change. It is about making a shift. I'm hearing make a change, Narco Bear. So, and see how, look, I've got these cards, like I'm facing this, and this is sort of what's facing you. So I feel like we're needing to look at the mask. We're needing to sort of, this is what we're showing the world, which, yeah, it's beautiful, it's optimistic, it's stunning. But we also have to realize where we need to look at these archetypes. We need to look at these parts of ourselves that feel, you know, that's what Moon Venus conjunction is in Scorpio. It's having to look at the self-esteem stuff. So a beggar, you know, it's having to, both of these people look like they want to hide. So this is not about not being afraid to hide yourself anymore, not being afraid to glow, to shine, to be seen. I feel like that's the thing with Mars in Cancer as well, is it's hiding in that shell. And so the Sun in Libra, there's too much of a emphasis on how other people are perceiving me. And we've talked about this a lot building over this eclipse. There's this need to look. We have the damsel that is sitting at the bottom of the deck, and it's staring at me. So we need to look at it. And look, she's in a mirror, so it's having to look inside the mirror. And I get a lot of mirror imagery and vibes when I'm kind of connecting with Libra energy, because it does feel as though, you know, we have to weigh things out by looking in that mirror. And that's what, if the self is Aries, then Libra is that mirror to the self. It's others. So we have to understand where we do attract, like that's why they say your vibe attracts your tribe. So your inner vibe is the sort of magnet. And so when you look around and look at life, we have to understand what are the type of people that we're attracting? What are the type of relationships, the type of connections that we have with people? We have to understand where we play our part as well. The shadow attributes of both of these cards don't want to take accountability for where they need to put in the work as well, where they need to do something different, where they need to take charge, maybe they need to take action, maybe they need to have more self-belief, more self-esteem, maybe they need to do things like have a higher outlook, like literally this magical child, seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things and the belief that everything is possible. What if you actually are beautiful? You know, both of those cards want to hide their face. And when we're dealing with Libra, we're dealing with beauty, we're dealing with the aesthetic. So we're having to face, and this is inner child wounding with the orphan child coming out at the bottom of the deck. This is inner child stuff, and the mirror is out here. So we have to see where we are so much more than we've perceived ourselves to be. We didn't see the beauty in ourselves before. Look to the past. You know, this is giving me the energy of even like, was doing this morning. I was looking at past photos of myself when I was like in my early 20s. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what the fuck? I thought I was so ugly back then. And I'm like, wow, I was so cute. I was so cute. I didn't look like I look now. Like, I ain't saying that I'm trash. I ain't saying that I'm a goddess at all. But I was so cute back then. And I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even realize at the time. I was just looking at how ugly I am. So I would probably think the same thing about myself right now in 20 years time. You know what I mean? So it's like realizing that we are our own mirror. Look into the mirror if you want to understand your reflections in life. The damsel says light attributes, understanding the nature of healthy romance, inspires you to rely on yourself. The shadow attributes is waiting for a knight to provide for you and a seduction by a romantic illusion. So with the moon making its conjunction with Venus over this weekend, and all this Libra energy, Mars starting to square with Mercury and with the sun, we are having to face the music, you know? And I've gotten this, oh my god, the amount of times this song has come through, but dance to the music. I'm here and just face the music, like, and I keep seeing Shrek and Fiona. So, you know, that's the thing. Maybe that's why, because she chooses to be an ogre, because that's more authentic to her than the beautiful aesthetic, I'm a beautiful girl, like princess sort of vibe. This is about understanding she was a damsel in distress. And then she decided that Shrek came to the rescue, and he ain't no beauty, but he certainly is magical. You know what I mean? And he certainly had this advocate in him that was for himself. You know, Shrek advocated for himself, and Fiona couldn't help but be attracted to that. People are attracted to people who advocate for themselves, who care about themselves. This is bringing me to a quote that I heard ages ago, and I loved it because it really hit me hard, because it made me think about myself. And it was something like, people only care about people who care about themselves. And I'm going to say that again. People only care about people who care about themselves. The problem with a beggar archetype is that beggars often are perceived as vampires. Because what are they doing? But they're literally draining other people's. They're asking for other people's resources in order to survive. And so this is us having to understand that, look, the shadow attributes, waiting for a knight to provide for you, seduction by a romantic illusion. All this Libra, we can't keep getting stuck in this idea that a relationship is going to save us. Somebody else is going to save us. And that's the thing. Scorpio energy is other people's money. It's other people's resources. So we're needing to face with that connection to Saturn, we have to start building this spiritual connection. You know, Mars in Cancer. We need to start understanding that it's what we personally do that makes the results in our life. The choices that we make are what make our life become what it is. You know what I mean? We can't keep pretending like there aren't consequences for our actions. You know what I mean? This is us understanding that there are consequences for the actions that we make, and we have to face these darker parts of ourselves in order to clear them. You know what I mean? You can't clear what you can't see. So this damsel archetype, understanding the nature of healthy romance, inspires you to rely on yourself. So that's about seeing beautiful things, putting compassion into action, and relying on your ability to take care of yourself. This weekend is a beautiful moment, a beautiful opportunity to see where you can now rely on yourself greater than you could before. Better than you could ever before, you know? I feel like we haven't been seeing the truth about ourselves for a long time, and that's what Libra kind of energy is. It's about seeing the truth. And it's been hard. Being the sun with the south node is foggy, and you know, having Lilith there as well feels like we can get caught up in thinking that we were, like I was saying before, like I was looking into the past and I was going, wow, so much better looking then. And so that's us also needing to respect where we are now, respect the growth that has gone on inside us, and realizing that we can make changes. You know, Libra, all this Libra energy, like I said, it's about beauty. And I feel like this is one of those weekends where, especially with the Moon Venus conjunction and that beautiful trine over to Saturn, it feels as though we're needing to make a decision that we are going to treat ourselves with, I want to say, like, more integrity than ever before, in the sense that we actually do care about the way we look. We do care about the way we're treating ourselves. We do care about our emotional integrity. We do care about our health. We do care about, you know, all these things that come from an internal sense, rather than this, you know, relying on everybody else, relying on people to justify that we're doing something good. You know, the Advocate makes me also think of people who, you know, want to be looked at as being up on a pedestal for being, you know, oh, they're doing such a good thing. Look at them, they're such a humanitarian. You know what I mean? They really care about people. Like, this is about doing things because it truly, with Venus and Scorpio, it's about it needing to be fucking from the soul. You know, Spirit, I needed to emphasize that. It needs to come deeply from the soul. Deep, deep, deep stuff. We're needing to do the work. We have the Hanged One in reverse, and we have the Eight of Pentacles out here. So we are needing to do the work, even though, and that's the thing, we're needing to do the work to actually get us out of the rut. And I feel like we've come to a point where we've had a lot of time to reflect, and we've been in a deep reflection energy, but we're moving into this requirement for action. And I think that's what that square with Mars is. Okay, well, are you actually going to make the decision? Are you going to make the higher choice? Are you going to think things through? And what I was saying before with the aesthetic thing with Venus and that Saturn conjunction is the realization that you can always make yourself look and feel better. You know, if you feel like you're unattractive, you can do things to make yourself feel more attractive. You know, start doing the things that make you feel beautiful, and that's going to look and feel different for everybody. It's not going to look like a face mask for everybody. It's not going to look like makeup for everybody. Do what feels good. Do what feels inspiring. I think over this weekend we're needing to face we have the Three of Swords and we have the Nine of Pentacles. So that is a really, really strange combination, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm going to pull another card on that, and it's the Ten of Pentacles upright. So we have the Nine and the Ten of Pentacles with the Three of Swords. We have to face our heartbreak, because our heartbreak actually holds the key to our greatest abundance. I feel as though we're facing the dark, like we're facing some sort of like really heavy emotions, and some really, like with this Vampire and this Beggar, we're really facing these, with the Three of Swords, I think it's like mental heartache, mental heartbreak that we've sort of been inflicting and imposing on ourselves, because we haven't been seeing the true abundance that we have all around us. The Nine and the Ten of Pentacles are the most abundant cards literally in the deck, besides the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. These are the, like, literally, this is about building wealth. So we are realizing, and that's the thing with the Beggar and the Vampire coming out. So how can we have these beautiful cards talking about how much wealth and value that we have when we're focused so much on what we don't have? We're focused so much on what feels like we're depleted and what we're missing out on, you know? It's giving me a little bit of FOMO energy where we're looking towards all these other people, and that's this Libra thing again, social. Looking to the people around us, looking to our circle, maybe looking to, you know, just reflections on social media and going, oh, well, my life doesn't look like them, so I must have done something wrong. I must have failed, you know? The Three of Swords is a mental heartache. It's the card of heartbreak, and I was just about to say song. It's the song of heartache is what I'm hearing. So it's the card of heartache, but it comes from your mind. It's a bird. It's about your thoughts. It's about no longer breaking your own heart. And I just heard, don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart. It's like not breaking your own heart, because realizing that Ten of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, whales to me symbolize deep, deep, deep emotions. And emotional intelligence is abundance, you know? I feel like this is emotional abundance, spiritual abundance. Sometimes, you know, it's realizing that your feelings are actually the biggest, highest abundance. The way you feel connected to your path and your journey, the way you feel mentally at ease. You know, the Three of Swords isn't at ease. I feel as though this is a bird and it's got like, you know, people throwing daggers at it. You know, it's got this feeling like there's all this energy coming towards it, like it's too... It's almost like feeling like it's almost like it could kill me. You know what I mean? Like it almost feels like these feelings are... And a vampire could, you know, think about it. Vampires are scary. Both of these archetypes are scary. Nobody wants to end up being homeless. Nobody wants to end up out on the street begging. And nobody wants to have a vampire eat them, you know what I mean? But generally the idea with a vampire is that you need to invite that in. So this moon conjunction with Venus and this beautiful trine that we're having with the moon and Saturn and Venus and Saturn and Mars, who is having that connection with the moon and Venus as well as with Mercury, we're really needing to face some of these scarier things in life. And some of the scarier things sometimes are ourselves, you know, our emotions with that Mars square. And the fact that the world is a bit crazy at the moment and we can't control that. We have to let go of what we can't control. We have to control the one thing that we can. It's the little things that matter. You know, taking charge of the little things, because the little things matter. And the little things are your emotions, the way you feel. And not that you sort of need to control your emotions, but controlling your reactions and understanding your emotions, understanding the why. I'm really being brought to a podcast that I recently just started listening to it this morning. So I haven't even finished it. I'm literally only 15 minutes in because then my friend started calling me and we had a deep ass chat. So, but I am being brought to link it down below if anyone wants to explore this. But it was a Huberman Lab podcast, which I really love. I love listening to him. He's a neuroscientist or a biochemist, I can't quite remember, but he's a science guy, and I love the way he speaks. It's just really easy to understand. It's very simple, and I think he's a legend. So basically the podcast was about emotional intelligence, and they were talking about emotional intelligence and just how to regulate emotions and understanding emotions and all those things. And I think that is the perfect podcast, the perfect conversation for us. And we got to remember, Jupiter and Gemini going retrograde, we need to be looking at the facts. We need to be looking at things from an intelligent perspective. Scientific, yeah, I like the fact that this is scientific. It's legit, you know, it's looking at the facts, it's looking at reality. This is what we know about emotions, and it's looking at it and going, this is how important they actually are. And that's what this podcast is about, understanding how important our emotions are. And so I feel like we can't allow our emotions to be the vampire in ourselves, you know. I think Scorpio moon, emotional vampire. My dad had a Scorpio moon conjunct Saturn, and that man, love him to death. He also had a sun in Cancer. So that connection with Cancer and with Scorpio, it can be very much a vampire. It can be an emotional vampire because it doesn't want to do the work. Instead, it can be so caught up in jealousy and overcoming and literally just getting stuck. A vampire gives me all of... Sorry guys, that just paused. So we have the Chariot coming out as our final card. So this is the weekend to get the ball rolling. Like, we really are at the crunch time. We have Jupiter, who is about to station retrograde. Mars is reaching that shadow point where he is going to now come back and go direct next year after he goes retrograde in, I think it is December. So we are starting to reach that point where it's starting to get hairy, it's starting to get intense, it's starting to get potent. So on the world scale, things we're really seeing that amplify, and in our own lives we're seeing the intensity of the potency of change, and the winds of change are well and truly here, my friends. We cannot deny it. And so this Chariot is talking, like I keep saying, the high perspective thing. That's what I see an eagle as, looking at things from a vantage point of getting a clearer view. You know, when you look bird's eye view, you get a better idea of what is actually going on. So I think that's what this connection, this grand trine that we have at the moment, we really need to be emphasizing and using this grand trine to be seeing things from a higher perspective, and to be getting acquainted and clear with the stronger, more mature version of us, you know, this version of us that is ready to grind through. And when I say grind, I don't mean in a toxic way. I mean to push through some of the emotional reactions that we want to have that keep us from achieving and receiving our dreams. So we need to be aware of our time and space and our reality at the moment. This is about awareness, you know. This Chariot is about taking the risk, but I feel like when I say taking a risk, I feel like not a risk that is stupid, you know, not doing silly things. We have Jupiter that's getting really close to going station and then going retrograde. So we have a lot of retrograde things at the moment. Still Saturn is retrograde. So we don't want to be making silly decisions. We want to be making smart decisions, but we want to be understanding where maybe life is asking for us to take a risk, because that's what our success is yearning for us. You know what I mean? We need to be understanding where we need to rely on our own intuition, on our own potential, you know, the magical child, seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, and the belief that everything is possible. We need to be understanding that everything is possible. That's why the Chariot is out here, because we have to understand that in order to get anywhere, we have to believe that we can get there in the first place. If you don't have that self-belief that something was possible in the first place, you'll never actually achieve it. That's why they say, isn't it like the 1 minute mile, that sort of story where until they saw it actually be done, people did not believe that it was possible to run a mile in a minute. So until that happened, people didn't believe that you could do that. And then once it happened, all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, everybody's doing it, you know. And then now we're seeing all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's really about testing the limits of what you think is actually possible in your own life, and taking those risks. And sometimes you need to be that person to break through. You know, that guy that run that first 1 minute mile, everybody, like, he also had that indoctrination that it wasn't possible, but he obviously had a level of belief in himself that it was possible for him, and he made it happen. And then once he did that, he opened the doorway for all these other people to also see the light at the end of the tunnel and go, holy crap, that is possible for me too. So that's why it is about seeing the belief that everything is possible, my love. So this is a really beautiful weekend. It's probably sort of a nice weekend before things get even, I don't want to say even stronger, because we did just have that eclipse, but we do have a full moon that's building, and we're going to be seeing some really strong squares with Mars, while we're having oppositions building with Pluto. So we cannot forget how volatile the potential is for these times. So stay cruisy, stay chillin', use this weekend to get you in a chillin' energy, and to just keep using that chillin' energy to get you out of this vibe, get you out of this vampire and this beggar, and move into this magical child and this advocate, where you are really growing and building into these seeds of a fairy tale life. You know, Shrek archetype is really coming through at the moment. So, you know, you gotta fight the dragon in order to, that's what my partner always says. Actually, it's so cute. He always says, you know, he had to slay his dragons in order to get his princess, being me. And so that's kind of the metaphor to take with you over this weekend. You gotta sometimes slay your dragons in order to get your princess. So do the work in order to get there, my loves, in order to make it happen. I love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this video, and if it resonated with you, please do give it a like, because it really does help my channel. If you feel like sharing what is going on with you, any suggestions for future videos, content you'd like to see, anything like that, please do let me know in the comments down below. If you would like to book a personal tarot or astrology reading with me, you can do that through the link tree. That is also linked down below. Or if you would like to make a donation to the channel, that is greatly appreciated. I would like to thank your angels, your ancestors, your higher self, your spirit guides, all the beautiful benevolent beings that are surrounding you and I in all moments, for allowing me to receive and to deliver this message to you guys. I appreciate you so much for being here. make sure you check out your channeled songs, and I will see you in Astro Tea Weekly. Make sure you've checked out the eclipse readings as well. Sorry, my nose is itchy. And I will see you guys in the daily horoscopes. Peace.